This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. I'm Marek Mazurek. On the heels of President Donald Trump's announcement of tariffs against almost every country in the world in early April, the U.S. stock market plunged around 20% and cries of recession were abundant. It's now 4 months later and the recession hasn't come. Unemployment remains unchanged and inflation in most sectors is down a slight bit so far this year. In fact, as of late July, the risk of recession is only slightly higher than it normally is, according to Jim Bullard, Dean of the Mitch School of Business at Purdue University. Despite the uncertainty caused by Donald Trump's off-the-cuff tariff announcements and reversals, Bullard said markets are beginning to settle as new deals are being hashed out.
The main concern during the first half of the year has been the global trade war, and that the global trade war might spiral sort of out of control somehow, and then that might cause a global recession. That so far has not occurred, and it looks like cooler heads are going to prevail, and we'll get some settling, I would say, in the global trade arrangements, and then once those arrangements are set, then everyone will know what the rules of the game are, and they can go ahead with their investments and businesses across borders all across the world.
Bullard is also the former president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Part of the reason tariffs haven't brought the economy to a halt is that inflation has remained relatively low. For over a year, there's been debate on whether the Federal Reserve should lower interest rates, though the Fed membership appears unlikely to do so at its meeting this week per national reports. Bullard says the economy is in a good spot and the interest rates are, quote, a little bit higher than it needs to be probably, end quote. However, other economists credit Fed Chairman Jerome Powell with holding fast on rates, saying the deflationary rates help combat Trump's inflationary trade wars. Last week, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported the quickest growth on the price of core goods excluding automobiles in 3 years. But Bullard also takes heart in continued low unemployment numbers which buoy the economy. The unemployment rate for June sat at just 4.1%, which Bullard believes is a sign the labor shocks caused by the COVID-19 panic are no more. A wave of new restaurants and bars opening across the South Bend Elkhart region is reshaping the local economy and expanding the cultural landscape. At least 8 establishments have opened so far in 2025, including Jinya Ramen Bar in South Bend, Osteria Amiki in Elkhart, The Fold in Goshen, Manny's South Bend, and The Bend Lounge, and several more are on the way. Stakeholders say the growth is more than a trend. It's a reflection of increasing demand, entrepreneurial momentum, and evolving expectations around quality of place. The influx of restaurants represents both a cultural and economic asset, touching on everything from workforce development to tourism and downtown revitalization. Kurt Yanofsky, who operates 11 distinct restaurant concepts in the region, emphasized that the restaurant industry should be viewed as a long-term career path, not just temporary work. He said local chambers and community leaders have been supportive, but he urged city and county leaders to streamline processes like permitting and recognize the scale of employment that restaurants already provide. From the #1 source of Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
From wolves and bargains to fried pickle Oreos and glass blowing, get ready to celebrate the soundtrack of summer at this year's Indiana State Fair. The 168th annual fair kicks off Friday and runs through August 17th, remaining closed on Mondays. Throughout the 15 days, fairgoers can explore new family-friendly activities, enjoy free concerts, and take advantage of special deal days presented by the Indiana Secretary of State and AAA. The fair usually sees around 850,000 visitors each year. One of the key attractions is always food. This year's lineup includes lobster mac and cheese, an all-vegan Indianapolis Philly, blue cotton candy margarita, and more. For more info on how to plan your trip, head to indianastatefair.com. Rainy Well once supplied the mighty Indiana Army ammunition plant in Charlestown, but disuse shut the well down for the past 2 decades. Now, thanks to a $50,000 grant from the American Water Charitable Foundation, Rainy Well is on track for restoration. The nonprofit said the money will go toward restoring the well and collecting data about the aquifer it draws from. The well currently sits in Charlestown State Park on land which used to be part of the Indiana Army ammunition plant. The plant started in the 1940s as the world's largest producer of smokeless powder, which is a key component of modern gunpowder. Rainy Well supplied the plant's operations for 5 decades until the facility shut down in the mid-1990s. The well fell out of use and above-ground structures that maintained the well were removed according to the release. The American Water Charitable Foundation is a nonprofit arm of American Water, the largest regulated water utility in the U.S. Arrive AI CEO Dan O'Toole is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.